idea to implement it using offload. And I work with personally with the project. I built a package called Smart Collections. So it's a initial version of offload implementation. So after that, so we start working on the offload implementation, and then we the own version. So basically, what offload does is so it's deal with the MongoDB application. So what starting the MongoDB application is when you are running a production application, it's a good idea to have multiple databases for the redundancy. So then, so in the MongoDB application, there's a concept called offload. It is not a concept. That's the way how the all the members in the replica application they communicate. So all the write operations are stored in a collection called offload, or the write operation like. So normally it's available in the primary instance of MongoDB replica, and then all the libraries listen to the changes and apply changes for them. So that's how their whole replica set is synchronized with each other. So ETA is just acting as another replica, and it try to make changes from the offload, and then so the write operation happening inside MongoDB. So then ETA can take the change and act accordingly. So in order to do that, ETA has to implement its own MongoDB operation. That's why they use minimongo inside the server and try to make it as a replica set. So another MongoDB instance. So the problem is, it's really hard to implement the MongoDB replica, MongoDB in JavaScript, and the minimongo, the current JavaScript version of MongoDB used by ETA is not 100% perfect. So it doesn't have all the features like say text search. So you don't have to have geopartial operations. So that's why we can't have those features with the offload. So that's the problem right now. I don't think those will be available next year because the ETA is working too hard to working Galaxy right. So I don't think we can see a optimized version of offload because. I think that's about offload. I think. Do you have any? So I'll just go through the history and like that. Any questions? Something regarding any specific?
I'm okay. It's so low. I can't really.
It's so the volume.
It's just.
Aruna, we're having a bit problem hearing you.
No, I mean I think he's legible. I think the speakers are very.
Okay.
They're not turned up all the way.
Okay. Right. Okay. So. Right, okay. But I try to show you, what I'm saying that let's go to the history of video and upload. So basically, I'll read what I said. So, so just from something for replica side.
What is the power?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So it's actually.
Python trainings, the professional, so people like Python training sites. Okay. So the reason people say there's no static type checking and Java is not better. Then I can find some reasons to convince them to say that something else is good in Python instead of static type checking, or say static type checking is not good enough, but many other things, etc. But really, that's something that Python really lacks. So, what if you actually have static type checking in Python? How about this? Have a code like this. Right, functionality is accessing to I say that it's sending this back. You know what? This is actually a valid Python keyboard. So the types that are specified the function annotations. running in Python 3. So if you have to use these things, you have to use explicit Python 3. So let me, so this function, when I run, it prints A as expected, okay. Even though the types were specified here, Python really doesn't make use of that. I'll explain what they do with the So before I get to like what annotations are and how they work, let me tell you a bit details about how functions represented in Python. So when I have a function like this, in Python, it's a simple square function. It has takes one argument, it is square of that number, and then the small box string. So we can expect the function and look at the name underscore name that gives me the square name of the function, or I can look at the underscore doc that will give me the string of the function, or I can say underscore module that tells me which module the function is carrying. So Python maintains the metadata of the function along with the function. Now, function annotations are also metadata. What does it mean? Is when I look at when I write a function that has annotations like this, when it says for annotations, it actually tells me dictionary of all the annotations for each parameter x and y, and for the return value. Is my voice clear or able to follow the screen when I move it?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. What happened?
Voice audible.
Yeah, it's audible.
Okay, sounds good.
Good.
Okay. So this is function annotation. It's okay. So function annotations are defined in fact P107. So what it says is annotations are completely optional. You don't have to specify annotations to all your functions. And the second thing is Enter doesn't attach any meaning to it. So it's completely up to you to decide what to use, what to do with them. And continuation of that is there are no static semantics annotations. It's left to the third-party libraries to decide what to do. So now, using the annotation, now we can write a few tools using that. Okay. So potential use cases are actually do some kind of type checking. You can actually help you in showing some type things or etc. when you start typing in. Or you can actually write some refactoring tools. It says one of the nice things about Java is they have very good tooling support. It says they have good IDEs and then they provide very good refactoring support. But I've been very hard with Python because you don't have the kind of information along with the function. So when you're trying to change a function to something else, it's very hard to provide automated things. And you can do many more things like functional overloading and setting functions. So here what I want to stress, what I'll show is the interesting project called MyPy. That's a static time checking tool. That's a static time checking tool. Let's look at what is this. So it's very interesting because it's actually been implemented over, at least it's been done as a research project, actually a PhD thesis of a person called Jekka. So it's only a static, so it works like a lead. So when you run Python, for something that actually tells you kind of errors that you may have in your program. So it works pretty similar to that. But it actually finds static type errors. And there's no runtime penalty when you run it. I'll explain what that means. Let's look at an example, square root 5. So I have a number square, it's taking the number, and then integer and then giving the integer back. And then returns x into x. And I'm trying to compute square of a floating point number 3.5. So when I run this using MyPy, so MyPy is you can go to mypyland.org and install MyPy. That will give the MyPy library, MyPy executable. So when I run this, actually goes and looks at the types and then tells you that you have a static type error. So in line 5, the argument 1 to square is incompatible. You're passing a float, but when the function expects can empty. That's really incredible because so far Python never had a tool like this. But like I in the beginning, it only works as a link, in the sense, like a linker, in the sense you run it, not when the program is running, but before. So you make this part of your build chain. So, but when you run this program with Python, it actually happily executes and prints value. The reason is, we're not modeling the Python runtime environment, we're still using the same Python interpreter, but we have an additional tool that can do the type checking. Makes sense? Any questions so far?
No. No, we're following you.
Okay, so do you all like this idea of doing static type checking with Python?
What's the question?
Do you like the idea of doing the static type checking with Python like this?
Do you like the idea of doing static file checking? Yeah? Yeah, they like it.
Okay. So, let me show some more examples, okay, of what all you can do with type checking, okay. So, MyPy is actually a pretty extensive tool. Not only just works on the basic types, but you can also do type checking on generic types, such as you can actually have a list of integers or list of something. You can actually specify the types like you do in specify in Haskell or this kind of programming languages. Here I have an example which is trying to compute an average of a number. It takes list of values, list of integers. So I specify integers in this syntax that MyPy uses. So interesting thing is here, the list int is actually a valid Python syntax. So it's not really inventing a new syntax for that. And that's written in a floating point number back. Yeah. Okay, so it's trying to compute sum of the values by the length of it. So that will give me average. Now, if you look at the examples below, when I'm calling it, I'm printing an average of 4 numbers. On the last one, I actually deliberately put a string there to see what happens. So to run this program using MyPy, or when I check this program using MyPy, it detects an error saying that item 4 has incompatible type string. That's really nice because otherwise this thing would have actually given a runtime error if I have not used MyPy. So now when I'm writing this program, you can actually have an IDE that will actually can look at this and then tell you that you have to take it away. So, it's like, let's look at a little more complicated example for frequency. So typing. So this example is trying to show the generic type in a little more detail. So we have a word frequency function that's taking the list of strings, and that gives back a dictionary containing frequency of each word. The type would be clear. Take to integer. The next thing here is the frequency of this. Define take str comma in. Okay, so give it a dictionary of the type to create a dictionary. There actually is simple dictionary, but MyPy uses that to do the static type checking. And that's after the same. For the words for each word, I import the word frequency. And then it will frequency in there. So when I run this program using MyPy, if any function calling this passing something different, it actually can identify and then give a compilation error. So the important things to this list of int, list of string, etc. That creates a regular list. It doesn't do anything special. But MyPy attaches some information when it is doing a pass of the code for finding the error. So let's try directly and see what happens. So this is a bad list file. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to create a list of integers. And I went 1, 2, and then trying to change 0 to x and printing the value. So now, when I compile this with MyPy, when I check the program MyPy, it gives an error saying that line 5 has an error. Well, error is a bit cryptic, but effectively it's saying that it's a quick integer, but it's a string. But on the other hand, if you run the program with Python, you actually execute that and prints the value back as expected. The reason is, like I said again, the MyPy is just a type checker. It doesn't really change the execution of your program. So your program continues to run as before, but yes, the still part of your tool chain before running the program. When running program, you can just run with the simple regular Python. So this is a tool that can actually do this kind of static type checking. But the more interesting thing is you need a license. Okay. So there is a post by Twitter on the Python Ideas page where he had a discussion saying what would it take to actually integrate this with Python 3 standard level. So we may actually do a version of this in Python 3.5. So any questions?
Any questions?
Can I use this in 2.7, Python 2.7? Hello, can I use this in Python 2.7 as well?
No, you can't. You have to use the
I
Python.
cannot import it from the future module.
No, so the thing is, Python, the community is actually, so Python developers are trying very hard to move people from Python 2 to Python 3.
Yeah.
Now, if you provide, so this requires syntactic change to the language. You need to have a support for annotations.
Yeah.
So that's available only in Python.
Okay.
So, they provide support for annotations in Python 2. There's no incentive to move really to Python 3. They should actually create more incentive to use Python 3, right? So I think they're going to come to Python 2.7.
All questions?
So I really wanted to have a discussion on this and see what all we can do. Let me stop sharing we can see more.
Okay, I'll just on this stuff. Is this on this light, please? Okay, I'm going to on my camera because I shut it off because you to conserve the bandwidth. Okay, I'm going to on it now. Can you see?
Not yet.
Now you can see this?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead. Your questions? Any further?
So in terms of types,
Yeah.
One question, Anand. What's it?
so in terms of type checking, so let's suppose, the case, the example you showed was the code was written with the int type, and while calling, the caller was trying to pass a decimal, and MyPy kind of flagged it. But then what if you go the reverse way? The code is written with the decimal type, and the caller is going to try to pass int. So it will still take it, right?
No, right. Float is again. Float is a valid. It is a valid float. That's how it will find.
Anand, I'm finding your ebbing. Your voice is going up and then it's going down. Okay.
Actually, I didn't get the question, but it's going to
Okay, we'll repeat the question. What's that question exactly?
Alright, so if I've written a code expecting a decimal type, and if somebody passes an integer, right? So this is a very simple example. So will MyPy still complain? Will it still flag it, or it
So I
won't?
think I expect to go a decimal, I think it is fine.
I mean, sorry.
Easy. If you give the type as float and actually pass an integer instead of a float, would that work or would that throw error?
That will work because integer is a valid float.
Yeah.
Alright.
Okay. So actually, why don't you actually try an example and see? Let me try showing an example for you. see if that works.
Okay, I'm going to cut the camera off just to save bandwidth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anand, just taking this further, what happens if you pass an integer for string? Would it still be the same, or would it throw an error, or it will convert the integer into a string?
Let's try. Let me share my screen and then I'll easier for me answer this question. So share the screen. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, you can see.
Okay. Let me. Okay. So the question is what are that? Because right. That's the question. That's the question, right?
That's the question? Correct. Correct.
Let's try identify let's try the function let's say okay. Exact, let's close and you can go back. So that's, but the question is now what happened? But then no. Right? Is this the question?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Just give me a minute, something of my Python notebook. So that said, you would run my way. That's fine. If you are an error. That means passing an integer to a float that column. The second bit was what happens if you pass a string for integer, right?
If you pass an integer for string.
Integer string, okay. So let's see. It's a string, right? Yeah, and let's try. So what happens? Oh, go on. What do you expect? What happens if I run this program? You run that better, right? So ideally, my starting time should find this error. So let's see what happens when I run this program by Python. So you got an error.
Okay. Clear?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Ashish? How do you think in your present code base you're going to use like this? Are you on 2 or are you Python 3? 2.7. Okay, I mean we got actually 2-3 guys, other guys on 2.7 still.
Yeah, so when I want to work through all my day-to-day work, but the thing is now, it's a chicken and egg problem. I don't use Python 3 because it's not a effort and not everyone has moved it. And not everyone has moved it because no one has tried it. So I think we should bring that change and come up with somehow. Okay. If we start becoming comfortable with Python 3, then we will be able to do faster. So I think as Python developers, I think we should try put efforts to look at Python 3 and start using Python 3 for in some form, since he's not at the regular work or some writing user programs, short-running programs, then probably try Python 3 or explore Python 3 so that we'll be able to switch to Python 3.
Okay. Maybe you have any other questions?
Not really at this point.
Okay. Nothing? Navid, you have anything?
I'm a bit lost on the context, so
Is a function. You're on Python 3 or Python 2? Which one?
Python 2.
Python 2. Then it's lost.
Yeah, actually, all of us here kind of use Python too. But yeah, this is something interesting that I'd definitely like to at least try out some.
At least the static can be good, man. You can catch your errors. The first part is obviously going to be helping your development, right? I mean, getting in runtime and error, like baba, operation ka time mein, and this is definitely much better.
Yeah, so the other thing is Adrian got one. What he's trying to do is trying to actually build the type information into its related so that it actually tell you it can hit you over the types. So once Python 3.5 is out, once Python high-chance editor start using these features, we'll actually have very good tooling support in the IDE.
Just the thing, like this is basically to do all the checks which are within your code. It doesn't really handle the user input, right? If the user input itself is incorrect, it will still have your runtime error if you have not checked for that. So this doesn't really handle that case, does it?
Okay. So the thing is, we're trying to answer the question of from Java guys saying that what happens in this thing, it can't catch this kind of errors. Okay, Java is more safer than Python to run. Okay, so it's not that case. So user input, from input, you have to validate. That's what I mean.
So it's basically a repository to Java guys. Hey man, even we can do static ML.
Yeah, so if you want to convince your manager from going from Java to Python, it's probably a good thing to show. Because Python can also do static typing.
Okay.
So earlier we used to say Python can do everything, but when it comes to static typing, well, Python doesn't need static typing, and we used to come with excuses, but now we don't have.
Okay. So got another excuse removed from the Java guys why not to take Python. Okay. Any other further questions? Okay, Anand, very good with this.
And so I think it was pretty shorter than expected. I couldn't actually spend time to measure the time or etc. Hope it was useful and related.
Yeah, I mean next time we can have a much more better topic that is much more expandable. How about, I mean, are we going to restrict ourselves to Python 3 or are we going to take Python 2 too?
Well, we're doing that, but isn't there enough interest to learn Python 3, explore Python 3?
Yeah. Okay. Okay, we got the idea. Thanks.
Okay, so I can do Python 2 if required, but I would love to do Python 3 if anyone is comfortable with that.
Oh, okay. I mean, since I've got the guys out here, I'll just go, guys. If for the next topic, what do you want to have? What kind of topic you like to have? I mean, you guys have coded, right? You've deployed codes. What's the thing you want about Python?
Maybe right now is not the correct time. Maybe we can do this over like some on the group itself. We can put up a poll and see what are the topics which people would like to have.
But no, this is not actually a formal poll. I mean, this is a straw poll. What is like the number one that is affecting you as Python developers? Hey man, this is thing that's hitting me. As a Node guy, I know this is hitting me. Man, I can't do any debugging. It's opaque and everything. I use dtrace to find things. Plain graphs to use things. What are things affecting you as Python? You guys are using it, right? So obviously there's some pain points for you.
Something running automated testing.
Huh? Sorry?
Automatic testing.
And? But that's a really framework issue.
So
It's
one
not
topic.
Python language per se. Like if there's a framework, you can build a framework, hey man, you can give it out also. Put it on GitHub, look it up. Python language per se, what do you feel?
So one thing could be like for Python 3, what could be the complexities for enterprise platforms?
And this is a good topic, right? So
Could you repeat that? I didn't get it.
the question is how to handle complexities for enterprise programming in Python 3, right? Enterprise computing, let's use the correct word.
So, enterprise computing is like big. What do you mean by enterprise computing?
So specifically around the compatibility with the software written with the Python 2.7 or like Python 2.x.
Yeah, so it's not backward compatible. Okay, it's for that's known. Okay. Now, so we wanted to make it from Python 2 to Python 3. The language are moving. Okay, so it's only your code you need to move to Python 3. I don't think.
So you have to make a clean break basically. Okay, there's no way you can use it as a crutch. Okay, I got still one hand, one leg there, one leg here. You'll fall between both stools. Okay, anything, nothing else? Okay, Anand, what we do is we'll set out. We have a Mumbai community. Hello.
Okay.
Yeah, the Mumbai community. We put a poll. Okay, what topics you want to hear? I've got you want to be on a Python 3, right, Anand?
Yeah, so I can do Python 2 as well, but I would love to do it Python 3 and doing this.
Okay, we'll love to do what you love to do. So that will be based on that. We'll put it out there. Okay. Thanks a lot. Have a nice day. Thanks. Bye.
So my name is Mayur Robre. I am an operations engineer at DirectApp, and today I'm going to be talking about uptime with service discovery and process managers. So the thing is, let us quickly talk about uptime first. So what is uptime and why does that matter to you? So as an individual it won't matter, but if you are starting a business it will matter to you. So the thing is, uptime means a time for which the service is available to your customers, to your users. So for better user experience you have to ensure that your service is like 100% uptime. And for some websites like Flipkart and Amazon, uptime converts to revenue. Every second of downtime is like a loss of millions and millions of dollars. So for revenue purposes, reliability purposes, you have to have good uptime. So now, how do you get more uptime? The only technique of getting more uptime is by minimizing downtimes. So these are some of the common causes of downtimes: hardware failure, maintenances, software failures, and human errors. So the thing is, these are the common causes of downtimes. There are other extreme causes like natural disasters or something like that, which you can be prepared for actually. So in this session, I'll be talking about process managers and service discovery, which will help you minimize these kinds of downtimes. Yeah, so some of you might argue that I am in the cloud and my servers are always up. I have VMs, I can spin it up anytime I want and all those things.
Container.
Yeah. So but I agree. You have taken care of hardware failures. But the thing is, what about software failures? There can be things like you are running an app. How many of you run Django app or Node.js app or Rails app? So the thing is, somebody from your team pushes a bad commit to the app and the app goes down. There is nothing you can do. Even if you are in the cloud, your app will go down and it will cause a downtime on your service. So these are the things. Yep. So process managers. Process managers are things like say for example, there are certain causes of downtimes, like a service is stopped. For no reason it is stopped. Say for example, it got stopped because of some error and it didn't come up because the OS is not configured to bring it up, or nobody's checking it, or all of a sudden you start getting customer complaints that your service is not up, the website is inaccessible and all those things. And then you log into the server and to see what exactly is running on my port 80, and then you realize oh, the web server is down. Then you start it. So the thing is, to eliminate those human efforts and delay in detecting a service is down and all those things, use process managers. And a lot of good features about process managers. They can stop, start, even monitor the health of the service, respawn a process if it is killed, and then check. How many instances of process are running. If the process is dead or unresponsive, it can actually bring it back. Then there are some process managers which you might be pretty familiar with. Init, Upstart, Supervisor, Monit, Systemd. Now I won't really call Init as a process manager. It's just a way of spawning up processes during startup of this thing, going into a run level and then shutting it down. But Upstart, Supervisor D, Monit and Systemd, they are pretty kick-ass. They will actually make sure they will actually watch your processes, number of instances, etc. etc. They'll actually give you health stats and all.
How does this differ from the other things?
So in one line, Init is pretty, Init was built in olden times where, their priority was to just start up services and have a mechanism to start up and shut them down. That's it. So Init is good for those purposes only. It will sequentially start processes. So if you check a system like CentOS, which has proper Init system, go into a folder called etc init.d rc.d1 something like that.
rc.d rc1.
Yeah. So you will see processes in S1, S2, S3 kind of in a serial way. So init starts those processes in a serial way, and then during shutdown it will shut it down in a serial way. That's it. It doesn't do anything better than that. Things like Upstart is way better than Init because it can do things like if the file system is up, I'll bring this process up. If the network is up, I'll bring this process up. So these kind of dependencies are better handled by Upstart and all those rest of the process managers. So if you decide to go with a process manager, this is how your server will look like. So this is your server. Your process will be handling rest of the servers that are the rest of the processes that are running on your server. Yes. Now limitations of process manager. So process manager can't deal with things like out of memory situations or kernel panics, and the perspective of a process manager is restricted to that particular box or that particular container. It can't go outside and check what all things are happening on a data center level, and it cannot execute failovers or do load balancing kind of stuff. It can't deal with hardware errors either. So to overcome those those causes of downtime, you have to bring in other tools like Console. So Console is the name of the tool. The principle it applies is called service discovery. So simple case of service discovery would be like a cluster-based hardware, cluster-based server. So example, if you have 3 web servers, if you just set them up behind some load balancing proxy, even though the proxy is aware of all those servers, the servers themselves aren't aware that there are other servers like performing the same role. So the thing is, in such a case where there's a proxy and there are web servers below it, it becomes a centralized. Getting what I'm trying to say?
Okay. Yeah. No, अभी just notification आया, तो मैं देख रहा था क्या चाहिए?
आजा. Okay. So in such a case, proxy and the web servers below it, it becomes a centralized system where if the proxy goes down, your web servers won't get any traffic and there's a downtime as well. But in this case, so in case of service discovery based tools, most of those in most of those cases you'll have an agent or a software running inside the server, and this software will talk. This software, basically an agent will be running on your server, and this agent will talk to other agents installed on rest of the servers. So say for example, if you have 3 different web servers, an agent on web server 1 will be able to talk to agent on web server 2 and agent on web server 3 as well. So these 3 web servers can communicate and coordinate with each other through these agents. Now the advantage of this is, the servers are now aware about what exactly, how many other servers are there. If one particular web server goes down, rest of the two servers are aware. This particular server is dead. We both of us are now supposed to load balance. These kind of things. So yeah, console is a tool that implements those principles, and it is distributed. There is no central thing over here. Every box will run a console agent and will be able to talk with other agents. And it is highly available. Even if one box goes down or a particular cluster goes down, it won't matter. Since as long as rest of the infrastructure is up, agents are up and coordinate with each other. Key value configuration stores, and this tool was built to be data center aware. So even if you deploy it in cloud, it will be pretty easy to deploy. Yes. So now the advantages of console are like, servers can actually talk to each other, and they are cluster aware, and infra level failovers can be executed. So I'll give you an example of what exactly is the kind of failover that I'm specifying and what kind of things that you can do on an infra level. So if you use a service discovery tool like console and a process manager, your architecture will look like this. Process manager is looking at the processes inside the box, whereas console is checking up with rest of the cluster. What exactly is the status over there and stuff like that. So yeah, so now console is actually capable of doing a lot of things, and console has things like events and queries and stuff like that. So say for example, if you configure an event called failover, it can actually do those actions by itself. Humans don't have to intervene in failover processes. So a quick example to give over here would be like, say if you have database server. How many of you use MySQL? MySQL. Okay. So in master slave, what kind of configuration do you use? Master slave. Okay. So basically, if the master goes down, what happens? Does the slave come up pretty quickly, or you manually bring it up? Manually. Okay. So the thing is, this tool can help you configure automated failovers. Okay. So if you have a master server and a slave instance, both are in replication with each other. Say for example, master goes down. First of all, none of this is configured. What will happen is, first of all, you will need some mechanism to notify you that your master has gone down. Otherwise, your service won't work basically. And somehow, if you have implemented things like Nagios and all those things to notify you that your master has gone down, humans intervene and then they bring the slave and promote it to master. So the problem over here is humans have to intervene every time if a master goes down or something like that. So this is convenient when you have two servers only. But if you have a farm of MySQL clusters, this approach won't scale. So the thing is, with console, this is possible. So the say for example, master and slave are there. Console agents are installed on it, and master and slave are like in sync with each other. They know that I'm supposed to be the slave and this box is supposed to be the master. And if the master goes down, slave is unable to detect it for like 5 minutes or something like that. Slave will take the responsibility of being the master. It will promote itself up, and service will will be back online again in 5 minutes or something, or even less than that. And when this box master, if it comes up, then it will actually check. What all nodes are there. If is some other box already acting as a master? Yes, then I'll be the slave. So these kind of automated configurations are possible via console. Yes.
So who handles the load balancing? You don't need a load balancer, or console handles it?
You don't need a load balancer.
Let's say if one goes down, then the console handles it, like load has been balanced between the two web servers.
you can actually configure it that way. The thing is, it's more of a framework. I mean, it gives you that platform to build things upon.
Load balancer can fall upon console to give the information. Console doesn't do a load balancing by itself. You will have a load balancer mechanism, but this is more like, say,
So console will inform the load balancer something has happened, now handle accordingly.
yeah, load balancer usually should figure out by themselves, but so this wouldn't be, I don't know, like that.
No, wait, I'll give you an example regarding that.
Probably a more useful example would be.
Yep. So the thing is, say for example, if you have a load balancer, okay, and if you have like multiple web servers around it, so all of them are running console agents. So say for if a web server goes out, the console agent will tell other servers that this particular web server has gone down. So right now, earlier I had 4 backends to transfer those requests to, but now I only have 3. So web server is aware. Rest of the load balancer proxy is also aware. So this is how it happens. Console agents, they actually keep in touch. If one particular server goes down, the console will also go down, and based on that, they'll come to know things.
No, but this is a point. How is it well? See, even a load balance node, it keeps setting the heartbeats, right?
Yeah.
To each of these nodes. Hey, bhai, tu zinda hai, zinda hai. Hey, mar gaya. Okay, abhi ye do zinda hai. Tu usme bhejo.
Actually, I can give you one example that we use. We have free switch, and
What? Sorry?
we have free switch for making out calls, and we basically have a component called a dialer, which connects. I'll just, do you have a pen? Do you have a marker?
So yeah.
Go. Here we have free switch, and free switch is a layer called event socket layer. It's a socket, TCP socket, which sends out and receives events. So we on another machine we have a component called a dialer, which is basically a custom written Node.js service. Now this interacts over the event socket, which is a TCP socket, with the dialer and the free switch server. So now if you have multiple event free switch, it can select whichever event listener it wants to communicate to. Now here we don't really need a load balancer as such, and again this is since TCP sockets, it just makes the connection to the socket. So now if this one goes down, it won't be able to make the connection to this socket. Now how does the dialer know which, like now it's not able to make connection here, what to do, whom do I connect to? So in that case we can instead have a console agent here, like on all of them which are synced, and this will have information before making out the call. First when the dialer starts, it will get the list of free switch servers available. Now if it's not able to connect to this one, it will look up within console, say which is the, like this server is not available, which are the since he's not explained that, probably when he comes to that, console can give you information of which are the servers which are available, which are the instances of the service which are available. So it will ask, give me the list of instances of free switch which are available. So it will get these two, and it can.
They already knew that, right?
No.
Talking to the TCP guy to know what's available.
Yeah. So in this instance it was available. Let's say when it started up, this was the only free switch server. Okay. So when it had the information, it was only about this. Now this is not available, and since we are on the cloud, we for like this region itself has gone unavailable, so we can't pull it back up. So we deployed a new server. So now what will happen is, when deploying the server, free switch, the console agent here will connect to this console agent.
Yeah, it registers itself.
Yeah, it registers itself, and so now this console agent has the information that there is a new free switch server available. So now when the dialer asks for it, or console also has events, so it can send out a callback saying that new free switch instance is available. It's kind of implementation, depends upon your implementation. If you want to do on the basis of callback, or do you want, like, now this has failed, so give me information of which free switch servers are available. Or if in case of you want information on whenever the new server has started, it's kind of our implementation would be like, we are still building this up, but our implementation will be like, when this server is not available, it will ping Consul and ask, give me the list of free switch servers which are available right now. So now dialer right now it only has this IP, this information about this instance. It will ping, it will ask Monet. Monet will reply that this is the one which is available. Maybe there were 2 started, like more of them started. It can also like, this is one thing, but there are also multiple things. You can give some tags and all. So if you want, say, things like, I want this set of customers to go here, other sets of customers to go here, other third set to go here, depending on my business logic. I can kind of pull in the tags and give that tag, so so my dialer knows which free switch instance to call in case of that kind of requirement. So these tags will tell you that this free switch server, let's say this free switch server is for calling to US, this free switch server is to call to EU, this is for Asia. So now I can use the tags within Consul to tell me that dialer will ask Consul that give me the free switch servers which are available, which are configured to call to Asia. So it will get this information. So actually we'll get a much clearer idea once he gets into the details of what Consul is, and it's a pretty versatile tool. And also Monet, couple of more things that he is not spoken
I'm
about.
not covering the details of all those tools right now. I mean, I just wanted to give.
Probably you should cover what Consul does, because otherwise
before you get onto a question, do you think this draw an NLB first, and you are drawing web services? Just put a box, one NLB, network load balancer or a load balancer, LB dal, and now 3 boxes, 3 web servers, Apache, whatever you Nginx or whatever. Okay. Now our requests are coming from outside the cloud within the NLB first. Okay, and the NLB is now deciding which servers I need to send to. That is what is the traditional architecture is. Okay, just do that. Now suppose, now this is how it is or it was. Now if Consul is in this picture, how it will work? So what do you want? As Navi said, do the next Docker session, what do you want? Do you want it to be hands-on? I mean, I can't keep doing introduction here. Itna intro ho gaya, both ho gaya. Now, like how will it make it? I want to take it up to the next step. Something hands-on. So, like, but I'm looking for some critical mass. I say, Navi ko leke aao, chal idhar aao. There should be some critical mass, some good amount of people who are willing to do it. Then okay, I can tell him, okay, then also if you look at it, it's worth my time to come here. So how many guys are really going to pick it up and work on it?
They're looking forward to like very frankly.
Hey, don't give me it's a nice
one. But seriously, they can have a doctor. I have to dump the
Okay, I mean, why would you use? I mean, now you picked up, but in the last talk I had, I mean, why do you want to use Docker or any container technologies? What's the money part about it? Let me come to money part of it. What's the benefit of using it? Why everybody is on that bandwagon? At least that answer, everybody knows why everybody is on that bandwagon. No. Okay, now. Okay.
It doesn't work on my machine.
No, it will not. Mac,
to avoid that it doesn't work on my machine.
That's a question. See, okay, now, so before what we had, okay, take this box. I got an app to run on my laptop, okay? Okay, it's like this. Okay, this is one whole estate. मेरा बाप का estate. Okay, ये मेरा बाप का माल और this is me staying. Now in this whole bloody, I'm only guy staying. And I require this whole place, this whole estate and everything really. That's what an app putting on that box is. Okay? Now suppose I'm staying in Charkop ka row houses. Okay? Okay? In the same dimension of this end. And now in this same estate there are 3 guys working. Right? Now at least 3%, 3 houses are there. There's one lane there going through, but each of these,
Each of them have their own supplies of separate water supply and electricity supply. Hey, ki nahi? Right? The same amount, but there are now more people at least. Okay, more than this guy. Now take about this. The usual scenario in Bombay. A building. Okay? Now what is there? There's 6 guys staying in the same amount, actually lesser amount, only in this space. Huh? I'm only occupying suppose this part of these guys. There are 6 guys staying and they're sharing the same electricity, same water supply. This is what actually Docker is. How do we get a metaphor now? Okay, itna is a space where I'm getting so many apps to run. Okay, when you had VM, this is VMs. Okay? This is your laptop, dabba udhar mein dal diya. Ek dabba, ek laptop, ek app. That is how it is. See, look at it, so much space is wasted. You have these row houses, you have okay individual throw lawn garden hai, but I have this much. I can't do anything more from this. This is Docker. समझा? अब मैं कितना भी उसको खड़ा भी सकता मैं इधर चाहिए अगर मैं अपना खतरनाक बिल्डर है तो 21 माला का भी बढ़ा सकता है and put this guys on. So on this much small मैं इतना खड़ा कर सकता है. Now take this in case of we are spinning these instances like on the scale of Google this you are saving $1 billion annually. Money, that is money. That's what I'm talking about. This is the mayor of the money. This is all dollars. And lots of dollars.
If we are not Google, then how can we make...
Now what you can do is that, okay, suppose you are taking that laptop. Okay, now you have this. This guy, now it is tich. गया वो डब्बा तो गया मतलब ये टोटल गया आउट तेरा घर नहीं है घर बार नहीं है कुछ नहीं है तू बेकार हो गया ओके now सोचो now I had 3 different orders मैं एक ही कर गया ओके now इसमें एक ही जाएगा बाकी तो सब है 5 जन है this is where it happens now with container which is mentioned some guys but like sir they're much better guys working these OSs and all they have now containers they'll definitely know how to package a container better than you and me they own product they have none तेरा सिर्फ काम है I just have to docker file में इसको get it down if I go build it and all I don't know I won't have my what will pollute my environment there is purely sterile it's like an injection where you going to bring from a nice seal packet or reuse wala nahi baba see that's the thing the same thing will happen there even as you as a small container you'll go with that because you know this is the best pristine container message I'll get it this is done on industrial level if I'll do is handmade you have a question okay I know sorry you said
so in VMs there are constraints like some guys are saying that I don't want to live in the home which is colored by yellow in VM so that is the app but in container you can just tell a person that bring your home yourself and just stay like that.
I mean these guys all can make it different. तो अपना flat है इसमें yellow flat है red color flat है कुछ भी flat है तेरा पूरा घर है वही color पे रहेगा तो ये है certain parts about it the only thing which is having which is virtualization but there's a crucial difference what kind of virtualization VM happens as a device virtualization okay this happens at the OS level virtualization so that means I can have different OSs but only on the same architecture. That means I can't have Windows on that bloody OS. Okay? Where will I use VM? And in this scenario, now the present scenario, I'll use for all my most cases there is container. But where I'll use, yes, there's still valid cases. Suppose if I have a bloody app, I want to test whether it's working on Windows. I have only one container. Obviously, then I'll go for VM scenarios. Because then I can put a Windows out here, then I can put a Ubuntu or a Debian, deploy my app here, deploy my other apps, and run my tests across. I come to know what it is. I can't do that here. I can't put Windows out there. Clear? Okay, I hope this is a good analogy. I mean, I don't like to give purely technical. It doesn't gusta nahi dimag mein. You give a good analogy, it's okay. So long as it flows across. Understood? Yeah. There's all money in there. Thanks.